with Hometel promotion. For more information, visit www.shindagari.co.ke. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Focus. I am Nancy Nelima, and today on the show we're going to be focusing on the year 2020. As we know, COVID-19 pandemic struck and the first case was reported in March this year, 2020. All through, now we are in December. And we have had to change a few things and adjust, and now we have a new normal. And to help me break this down, how we're going to adjust and with the new normal, is Captain Cargo. Captain Cargo is on Look Up Radio 254, as well as Look Up TV. You host a show called Humble Beginnings.
Humble Beginnings.
Yes, today we have our very own right here on set. And Lamek Aungo. He is a very renowned Kiswahili anchor, a reporter, yes, and much more that is going to tell us today. So we are looking at 2020. It has been business unusual.
Definitely.
For a lot of us. And different sectors. We know the economy has been affected. Our social lives have been affected. So there are some things that we had to adjust. There is the new normal.
Yeah.
For instance, wearing of masks. I know that people were making jokes about when we thought Michael Jackson was awkward and weird because he used to wear masks everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he was very conscious of the environment. He knows the amount of germs in the air. So at that time it felt like, you know, what we mostly call like Oyana Maringo or something. And then now, we all have to wear a mask. It's not a choice.
It isn't.
It is mandatory. It is a directive from the Ministry of Health, a directive from the government. So that has been a big change. And you know, like when you go up a flight of stairs, say you're going to the 4th floor. So by the time you take the first flight, then the second one, by the time you get the 3rd floor, some people claim they can't breathe. They think they've already been infected. Yes. So getting used to the mask was one big thing that we had to get used to.
Yes.
And the washable, I don't know which kind of masks you guys wear. Do you wear the washable or the surgical?
Both.
Or both?
Both.
I find the washable to be a bit constricting. I feel like the surgical has enough air, so it's wider. So it, and then it also doesn't smudge my lipstick. You know, because now I have to do it for my kind of job.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So what else has been different for you?
Well, let me just zoom in a bit on the mask, new normal for wearing masks. Masks were previously especially just the kind that we're using now, they were pretty common when you talked about the ancient, the Asian countries. And anytime we saw any of them come to the country or watched movies from that part of the world, it felt like, okay, it's either our immunity is too strong, or they're just trying to overemphasize on something that is not exactly a reality. But I remember when finally COVID came in, and I remember there was quite some resistance, even in our own land here in Kenya. Not just here, but globally. Initially, until when the numbers are quite startling, that's when we say, we don't have...
Maybe this thing is actually real,
That's true. We don't have an option. But now, in the buy and buys, as we actually used the masks to protect ourselves, during this pandemic, it also came to a point where it now became, when people realized that, wait a minute, this will actually form part of our everyday fashion style. It started, and that's where the washables now became very common, because it started becoming a fashion statement.
You match it with everything, with your
match
shoes
it with your handbag,
and
match
the
it with your
hems of
shoes,
your dress and everything.
Exactly. So I'm not too sure about the quality though, and I'm not even sure sometimes we understand what it means to have a 2-ply, 3-ply kind of mask.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure too many Kenyans, or maybe even globally, I'm not even sure people really are concerned with that detail as much as I just have a mask on. And sometimes, especially in our Kenyan context, you will find many people wearing the same mask, but when you ask them, hey man, corona is real, they'll tell you, well, it's navalia polisi. All right, so
yeah, like people still can't understand that you don't wear it because it's a directive.
Yes.
Because it prevents you from getting the virus, or prevents you from getting the virus to other people.
Yes.
So people still have to come to that understanding.
Exactly. Plus, I remember initially the government had very stringent rules at the very beginning on what specific masks to be worn because of their different levels of just protection.
Yeah.
But in the by and bys, anything passed.
Carrier bags. I've seen masks that look like they were made from carrier bags.
Imagine.
And I'm like, that thing is so light. Is that going to help?
And that's why today we even have, you know, even when you're talking about surgical masks, for example, who even knows what's the difference between an actual surgical mask that is being sold in a chemist and the one that is just sold for 10 shillings downtown? You get it? So as long as it's color blue and it covers your nose, hey, yo, you just move. But, well, it's become quite of the new, I mean, it's been part of the new normal now.
Okay.
Yes, I'm adjusting.
And, Lamek, what happened for you when the first case was announced, or by and by? How have you been taking the news about corona? Did you first believe it's there? Were you cautious?
Well, at first we didn't believe that maybe corona was there. So we took it lightly, actually. So, but for now, we've taken it seriously. At first, we could not put on masks, and it was really hard. Maybe it could actually cost high. By that time, it could cost about 50 to 100 shillings, but now it's costing about 10 shillings. So by that time, when the first case was announced, we didn't take it seriously. We thought that this is maybe another scandal. You know, Kenya is full of scandals. So we thought that maybe Kenya wanted to have some money from these other countries or NGOs. So that was the reception at first. But by and by, we came to the reality that now corona is real. And it has really taken roots in Kenya. And we've seen friends, relatives, others have died. We've seen friends who have, you know, been infected with this virus. So at first we didn't take it seriously. And we didn't take even putting on masks seriously.
Yeah.
But now we are taking it seriously. Yeah.
I would say for me, I knew corona is there because it was in other countries. Yeah. So for Kenya, you know, you could be skeptical because there was a story about government just trying to look for money if you admit a certain number of people. So there was that. But for me, when I knew that this thing is really hits hard, there was this guy that I was handling business with. So I met him. I had been talking to him over the phone for about a few months because I was not dealing with him directly. So by the time I met him, it was just about payment and everything. So we concluded everything. Then after exactly 2.5 weeks, I was informed that he was dead. And I was so shocked because I saw this guy about 3 weeks ago. We were talking about how corona has affected the economy and how soon and very soon business is starting to get back to normal. So we're going to have more clients and do more work. So at that moment, I got so scared and I was like, yo, I have parents who are at a certain age, you know, above 60, a mom with a pre-existing medical condition. So at that particular moment, I thought to myself, I know I have been cautious, but now more than ever, I need to take it, I don't know, 3 levels, 5 levels higher. Because now, someone that I knew, someone that was very healthy, someone that was talking about the virus like it's far away, it took him down.
You know, there are so many theories, by the way. Do you remember people were talking about this Chinese virus you know, and then they say that this is a weapon, maybe, you know, biological weapon. So there are so many theories. And there are those who are arguing like, you know, the flu is common in the European countries and America. So they were saying like, you know, in Africa, flu is something common. I mean, it's norm. It's not something that can kill you. Maybe malaria or something like that. But flu, like homa too, and all that, haiwezi kuua mtu hapo Africa. So those were some of the theories that people, you know, came up with, and some of the beliefs, like you can take now herbs, but now it's hitting hard, and it has taken roots in Kenya, and so we need to change. It's time now we are changing, you know, adapting to this, the masks all the time, surgical masks. So, you know, we've known or associated masks to, you know, doctors, those who work in the hospitals, but now everybody's a doctor outside here.
we are all spotted wearing, yes.
Yeah. So it's a change that, you know, we had to change even the way we live in the family, the way we associate. Like I cannot go to my village because my mom is sick or my dad is sick. You know, right now I can't go there. I can only call and say hi, because I know if I go there, then I may infect them if maybe I'm infected. So we have changed. Socially, we have changed. Even economically, by the way, most of the people have lost jobs. But anyway, we'll talk about that later, I know.
Yeah, and then Kago, if we look at, now for us as journalists, we have been reporting these cases. But where we work, how has that changed for you, let's say, in terms of the precautions around the media houses, in the newsrooms?
The pandemic has quite just destabilized every bit about our lifestyles. Not just, of course, I'll be talking about how my interactions have been, especially in the media industry, and especially given that media people are staying home. Everyone is being encouraged to stay home. All right. I think I was actually trying to reflect and remember, in retrospect, what 2020 has been, even in terms of memes. All right.
Very creative.
Very creative. Yes. Yet, what was just what was just a source of entertainment for other people, for some of us, it was the actual reality. When everyone was being told to stay home, we are the ones who are literally, in fact, in the media, anyone who's in the front line, talk of the media personnel, talk of the medical practitioners, we were the ones who, there was a time, quite a season, that had people just having banners saying stay home, so that we're actually working out here on your behalf.
Yes, for you to stay home.
In other words, we were actually the ones who were going on the ground to do, quote unquote, all the dirty work, in terms of now interacting with an unseen enemy, so that we can ensure the rest of the nation, the rest of the people, actually are, you know, totally abreast with the very valid information. And that has not been easy. That has not been easy, given that it's been quite something. Being on the front line, because it means that sometimes, especially I remember at the very onset, at the beginning of the year, you would hear cases, when we just used to have those cases, especially in single digits, then it became double digits. And within those, that season used to hear, hey, wait a minute, in a particular hospital, kuna mtu amekuja na symptoms flani flani, go there, check what is happening. Someone has fallen, say, in Madare, for example, go check what is happening. And I remember most of the media houses just go on the PPEs, and I remember one of the slogans that was just being used across many different media houses was, the story is not worth your life. For once, it's always been reverse.
Like, do what you can, whatever you got to do.
If you actually think about some of these award-winning stories, are stories that were almost worth
someone's life.
Yay. But this year has been just a whole year of many paradoxes. For example, there's always been this famous slogan of together we stand, divided we fall. For once, we had a world that just flipped the entire slogan. Together we fall. Talk about social distance.
Like you're safer alone.
You're safer alone. Whoever thought that something would ever come that would not only break the ties between you and your social life, but even break the ties between you and your own family. Ties of consanguinity were just broken along the way. It's been a whole mind shift, if you ask me.
And for you, Lamek, you're an anchor, you're a reporter. So this means you have constant interaction with people out there. So in terms of protecting yourself from the virus, because sometimes you have to interview people.
Yes.
It could be at close range. You have to visit different areas. So how has that been for you?
It has been really hard. But that is the call of a journalist. We are like the soldiers. At the time of pandemic like this is the time we should come out and air the stories that can save somebody's life. And so we have to brave. I remember we went to some other places where most of the people were not taking precautions. But we had to film. We had to tell them, put on the masks. We want to do stories. So as much as we've been doing, or we've been filming these stories and bringing them to the media, we've been also been very, very important in terms of relaying that message to the people. Media has played a very key role in terms of relaying the precautions, bringing out the reality that people are dying in the hospitals. And so this is what we've been doing. It has been really hard, but we had to brave. Because after all, we have to save the people by airing these stories. Because these stories must change the people. Yeah, must change our lives. Okay. So it has been hard, but that is the call.
Yeah, and as journalists, our work is to, we set the agenda. And there have been many stories about the government and the statistics that we have been given about the number of deaths, the number of infections. And there have been a lot of people have been poking holes about, are these numbers real? So what do we think when we put these things out there? So it means that we tell the public that this is what we have found out and we're putting out there. But the same public, they are in doubt. They're in doubt of the government's ways.
That's true.
Yes. So how conscious are we when we are writing stories? Yeah.
To be honest, it's been quite a quagmire in the sense that, maybe something that the public never understands is that we are just that, reporters. And part of the journalistic ethics, code of ethics, demand that you become non-partisan. All right? As long as I've had both sides, mine is to report their views, not to make a judgment on either of the sides, right? On either of their versions of the story. And pretty much that has been that year. This has been that year. And especially because you're dealing with a subject that none, not just the journalist, but none globally, no professional, was an expert in. We've not been here before.
Yeah.
The last time we had a pandemic of almost equal intensity was almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So we are in a time whereby none is an expert. So our work was basically to just get to report, just get to air the facts that are coming, and especially from the trusted authorities. The rest, you just roll the ball to the public square.
Yeah.
And this has been that year when, goodness, there's been a lot of, literally, at a point, the court went to the people. They had to vet whatever was being relayed to them, and just getting to decide, wait a minute, is this really factual?
Yeah.
And part of what the government did in the long run, and I really salute the Ministry of Health, they've been consistent from day one, giving daily updates.
Yes, every day at 3 p.m.
That has been quite a commitment that even earned quite a significant mention to the CS held abroad in one of the newspapers there. So I think it's just been that year when you get to, in the buy and buys, for example, just the other day there was quite an expose about because there have been very many questions asking, for example, as Aungo was saying, what was the exact cause? What was the exact cause? Was it a biological weapon? Was it traced to a particular animal? What are the facts? In the by and bys, I think now that because I think initially no one even cared about the facts as much as they cared for their survival.
Yeah.
This thing is real, let me protect myself. From whence it came from and all, you tutapatanga badai. Yes, but I think now we're at a place whereby you're slowly adjusting to this new normal and you're going now for the facts.
Yeah.
And the media has been...
But I want to believe even the common Mwananchi right now has come to the reality that corona is real. Because we've gone round, we've seen how people now are reacting to this new norm and at the same time are receiving this information. They have seen their friends die. They have seen their friends, get infected. So I think right now on the ground, people have come to that reality that corona is real. And it's eating into their pockets, into their lives. So it's something that they have come to accept that it's real. But at first they didn't. But now, I think with time,
they're slowly taking it in.
Taking it in. Yeah.
And as members of the Fourth Estate, still on how we report the news stories, when at the onset of the pandemic, there were stories about the virus can stay on a metal surface for this amount of hours, then on plastic, then on a piece of cloth for this amount of hours. So there was an explosion of information for such a long time. People were not sure. Some people were sanitizing too much after every interaction. You scratch your hair, you sanitize. Anything. Some people were extremely, they were heightened. So in terms of reporting such stories, how difficult was it just to ascertain? Because from interviews, doctors could not exactly say how long the virus stays. As you had said, there are no experts. So how was it dealing with such stories?
It was difficult. Again, I would just ascertain that. It was difficult because if the medical experts themselves couldn't agree, they're still, it's right about now that they're even agreeing on the vaccines to be used. Because, now every nation, for once even Africa, was looking for the vaccine. For once everyone was trying to understand what is the source, what exactly are we even dealing with. So, to be honest, I know we tried as much as possible as members of the Fourth Estate to just be able to verify, at least just be able to see, wait a minute, they said this, and these augurs also well with what we heard from that authority, then this could actually be credible. But if you actually think about it, now in retrospect, just trying to analyze slowly by slowly, the government itself, for example, in Kenya, and not just in Kenya, probably globally, initially they would say, whatever regards the burial of anyone who had died with just after contracting COVID, even the family members would not be allowed to interact with that family. Why? It was the first time. No one knew exactly. So many things were under study. But at least right now. So it was very difficult. You're actually saying things simply because you're almost an echo to what you had the authorities say. All right? But now with time, at least facts, we're able to access some facts and be able to just, cut down on all the rumors that were there.
Yeah. We are taking a short break here on the Week in Focus, but we'll be back shortly.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 0700 893 542 or send us an email to views@look-up.tv. We can't wait to hear from you.
Are you willing to pay the price for success?
Movement isn't progress, but progress requires movement. We have believers today who want 24 hours miracle, who wants 24 hours success, who want fast food victory.
And Korizit Tikna don't know if you know that. It is a thickener and also a flavor for soup or stew.
Are you afraid of aging?
I believe in long life. So I know that as I'm growing older, I'm achieving more.
Okay, well, the easiest answer would be, yeah, of course you can have it all. If you want it all, you're going to have it all. But you're going to pay the price.
A woman is created to be when she is privileged to be in leadership.
Turn your 50 bob into $1 million shilling investment. Changamka and Shindagari Chap Chap with Hometel. There's millions in shillings worth of prizes to be won. Send your 50 bob to paybill number 4040153 and get a chance to win 20,000 shillings daily. And each week, one person gets a chance to walk away with a Mazda Demio and another a Beth Mobility motorbike. Remember, the more times you try, you could be the winner of a fantastic Toyota Prado. Do not be left out. Send 50 shillings to paybill number 4040153, account name Lockup TV, and get yourself a Hometel lucky number. Changamka and Shindagari Chap Chap with Hometel promotion. For more information, visit www.shindagari.co.ke. Terms and conditions apply.
In this life, we all walk through loss, heartache, and disappointments.
Our eyes are opened, our ears are opened, our hearts are opened, our minds are open, so that God can speak to us directly.
God is with us every step of the way.
So when you see how they were transformed through their relationship with Jesus, their encounters with God, it changes me.
Welcome back to the Week in Focus. Remember, you can engage with us on our SMS number, which is 20374. Our SMS number is 20374. Engage with us and share your ideas with us as well. Today on the show, we are talking about the year 2020, which has been very unusual. And just before the break, Kago, you were telling us about how, as journalists, just telling the stories, how we've had to adjust to a new normal, even with the way that we work. Yes.
Yes, I was saying simply, I think necessity is the mother of all invention. Right? And it's been a year that has given us flesh to very many details that we took for granted. For example, just that proverb, because it was a year that really called for so much reinventing our ways of just doing things. And part of how that affected, for the state, just us dealing with our daily operations.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever knew that a time would come when we'd be able to work from home and do anchoring of news from home. Sure. Yet the public was gracious enough to just embrace the new normal. And innovations actually were made possible, and we even had the gadgets to work from home.
Like, you don't have to be in a studio.
Imagine. Yeah. Whoever knew that we'd be reporting and you would be using your mask as you just hold your mic right there. I mean, it's just been a whole new mind shift. It's just been a whole different gameplay, if you ask me. Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about doctors and nurses, people who are on the front line, because they see they meet the virus. This is the enemy that we cannot see.
Yeah.
So they are treating patients who have the virus, and some that they're not sure of, but are on the front line in fighting this virus. So do you think we have given them enough coverage, Lamek?
Of course, doctors have been given enough coverage. And, they are the soldiers. This is their game, This is their game. This is the time they are showcasing their skills, and media has come out in a way that is bringing them out and showcasing what they do, but at the same time the challenges that they are going through. Right now, I understand that they are having a strike, but I know from the coverage that we have taken is that these people actually go through a lot. They're exposing themselves, and with, of course, currently they don't have the masks. I mean, the PPEs, they don't have the masks and the stuff to protect themselves. If they are there, then they are very scarce. So I think media has come out to show the people what the doctors are going through in the hospitals, what the doctors are going through when there is a pandemic like this one, and treating the sick. So to me, the media has done a lot of work in showcasing what these people are doing and bringing out now their challenges. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And during a pandemic or during a crisis, our President Uhuru Kenyatta, had said that artists, musicians, be given a certain amount of money to cushion them during this period. And maybe he had in mind, people were arguing different things, like, why would you want to pay musicians? And doctors themselves don't even have insurance. But some people would argue that we need entertainment during a crisis. So what are the things that we have done as media, maybe in terms of our programming, to help people during this crisis?
All right. I think actually probably just getting to touch a bit on his question. The doctors got media coverage, but I don't think that's what they were actually looking for. They're actually wondering, in these media coverage of the, the journalists getting to tell our stories, are the relevant authorities walking a day in our shoes? That was their genuine cry. That was a genuine cry. They were simply asking, as people hear our story, is there anyone who's genuinely walking in our shoes, and especially the government? And that is why right now we have them on strike. Even after massive, just warnings to go back or they'll be sacked and all. They're just saying, was this worth, being on the front line, has it been worth the risk? Has it been worth the risk? But now just back to the question, please remind me the question.
The programming, like in terms of the content that we put out there, and during a crisis, people say need to something that will take their minds off whatever crisis is happening right now. So in terms of the content that we are giving out to the public.
Yes. Okay.
What was it like? What are we giving the public? Entertainment? Is it music?
I think the public needed much more than entertainment. They needed much more than a temporary dose of, just aesthetic, anesthesia that will just make them forget for a minute, then they go back to their reality. So they needed something much more than entertainment. They needed permanent hope. They needed a certain resilience infused into their system. Because we were in times when no one has been here before, so you're not even depending on someone else to encourage you enough.
Everyone is trying to adjust.
Everyone is here trying to adjust. And actually the person you really want to just bank on, they're working on just ensuring that they observe the COVID protocols, so they're even avoiding you. But in terms of our programming, what now this meant is that we offered, or rather what I've seen in our media, and even right here on Lookup TV, we've been very intentional, not just to offer entertainment. They can get it online. You can just get to Google anything.
YouTube.
Yes, entertainment could be anything. Could be you going out and playing kati.
Yes.
Entertainment could be just you staying and watching the stars. But what people need, and I think we've been very intentional about that, especially here at Lookup TV, to offer stories of hope. Stories of hope. And that is why also the government has been very intentional about the numbers. Not just telling us the people who've fallen on that day, but also how many recoveries do we have? Those stories of hope, because it's something that you very easily lose, even subconsciously.
In times of a crisis.
That's true,
yes.
Yes, I think the president was very intentional when he did that. It may have been misunderstood maybe, but the fact is that, during this time when people were at home, in closed places, he was dealing with what we call depression that may come with it. So he decided to have this entertainment actually most of the media houses could entertain most of the people, you know, at home, music, you know, you give the artist music, I mean money to do music, such that these people at home may not, one, be idle, second, they may not be, you know, bored. It was a new norm. People are enclosed in, you know, and so depression could come. So the president decided to have, let's have entertainment during this time when we have a curfew, such that people can, you know, get going on. So I think that was the reason why people needed entertainment, because you see, even yourself, when you get enclosed in a place when there is no music and you just sing the words, and the kids are disturbing there, and the husband is in the house and the wife is in the house. So because most of the people, just like you and me, are used to go out, interact with the people, community, you know, in the workplace.
We are social beings.
We are social guys. So we are now introduced into this new norm where we are not interacting with people. So the president thought that this is the time I should give these people entertainment, such that you can now interact with, you know, with the people outside. And then these stories that, you know, media houses were doing, such that you can now get interacting with the people from outside, I mean, using the social media platforms and the TV stations and the radio stations through such entertainment. I want to believe he reduced maybe the anticipated cases of depression.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you talk about isolation, the next thing that comes to my mind is prisons. And we know that for prisoners, it has been difficult as well, because there's no interaction from the outside world. So it means they can't be visited. Then you're there for a couple of years or even a life sentence. So with that interaction from your loved ones, have we highlighted that enough?
You see, the media played a very key role when it comes to those ones in prison. One thing I want to believe is this. You know, if the prisoners were to be allowed to be visited maybe by the people from outside, relatives and friends, then they could have increased the number of cases in prisons. And I think that's why the measures came, like, you know, we are not supposed to go and see the prisoners. It was a good measure, because such, you know, a place where people are enclosed, the virus could have spread very fast. So that measure was a good one.
Yeah. And I know they even say that in prisons, I wanted to go to prisons to do a story, but I was told for this time they cannot allow interaction from the outside world, because in prison it's even hard to social distance, because they just have that space to hold all these people in. But would you say that the government has factored in, then what? If there is no interaction for these prisoners, then what are some of the ways that, some of the things they've come up with in order to, you know, to sort their social life? Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure about the statistics on the ground, about if there's any adjustments that have been made in the, you know, in the prison context.
Yeah.
But I think the government is already struggling with just dealing with whoever is out legally. So dealing with how to make life comfortable for them who are imprisoned and they're sentenced because of a mistake they did. I'm almost certain that is a far thought for them right now.
Like they've got to sort people out here, they have to think out here before they think in that.
They're out here thinking, I mean, they have, if you ask me, better problems out here. Kids have been home for a whole year. I'm sure they're probably trying to wonder, what do we sort first? I'm sure they've really battled with definitely priorities. And while these people are actually undergoing psychological and emotional distancing from, you know, they're literally living in an island right now, I'm sure they're already having quite some trouble just settling the normality for the normal people outside, quote unquote. Okay? So I'm almost certain it's a far thought, unless they truly have an advocate who's following that agenda.
I think the government needed to do more. As much as they could not allow friends and relatives to go there,
I think maybe we must consider something like Zoom. Introduce Zoom.
For prisoners?
Yes. Their families. If
With
you can
what
identify that
money?
this is
With
my
what
family.
money?
Yes, the government can do that. It's possible, you know. This is my wife. I want to talk to her maybe once a month. The very way they could come. Then they can Zoom and talk, laugh with the kids, and that is it. You know, the very interactive, you know, it's their right.
We're talking about a possibility.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Not a reality on the ground.
It's a possibility.
Well, I'm actually yet to see that possibility actualized even in a movie.
Yeah.
If it starts in a movie, maybe you can actually have it.
Then you know it's actually possible.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Unless they truly have maybe, human rights advocates who are really fronting that agenda, I'm almost certain they were forgotten.
Today is the 24th day of December.
Yeah.
So it is the Christmas Eve. But this Christmas is unlike any other that we've ever heard. So it's different.
Definitely.
So what are some of the ways that we can adjust for a Christmas season during a pandemic?
Well, M-Pesas can do during this time.
With what money?
with our parents back at home.
Yeah.
You see, we can't go from towns to go and visit with our kids, and your brothers and sisters to go and visit our parents or grandpas back at home. Because you see, we have to be also very cautious during this time. Well, before we could have good time, a day like this, lit fire, maybe back in the village, sing songs and dance and have the fun. But today, this new norm is calling that we take precautions and, be very sensitive to our old people back in the village. And so, to me, I think the very interaction that we can have, a phone call, maybe WhatsApp or Zoom, if there's a friend back at home who can have an iPhone, then we can talk with the parents. That's what we can do at this time.
If there's a lesson that I've learned personally, I think, in the course of this year, and I'm sure we all have, it's been a year where nothing has been urgent.
Yeah, you had all the time.
Nothing has been urgent. Nothing has been urgent, and we all went back to what is really important. What is important for today? For me to make it through today. For me to have my family still breathing. For me to have some food on my table. So when it also comes to this festive season, that should almost be the same mindset that we operate with. Not just because this has been a year that has cancelled out too many defaults. There's been,
Definitely.
Yes, too many defaults have just been cancelled out, watered down. If this would actually mean more harm than good, then I think, as Lamek is saying, this is a time to still be innovative and see how do we still stay focused on what is important.
Yeah.
Can we have Zoom calls? Can we have staycations at home instead of maybe traveling in different places? Because probably there's no, hata pesa yenyewe hakuna sasa hivi.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so what are the new ways we can actually reinvent and still have the joy of Christmas, yet in the very confines of the circumstances we find ourselves in? Yes.
And what stood out for me, just like you've said, is what's really important. And we were at home, so maybe all we had is family. Yeah, so for me that really redefined things.
Yeah.
I just had to change my perspective of how, so I factored in that what really matters for me in my life right now, family just comes first.
Sure.
Yeah, so there are many times we take for granted so many things, but this year has put everything in perspective. What about for you, Lamek?
So I was in this matatu, and this driver was telling me, you see, there are so many people in town, unlike the other times. The business is doing well, in town. The other times we could not have business during this time. Oh, what is it? And he told me, people didn't go home. But his perspective was like, people didn't go home because they didn't have money. It's not because of Corona. He was saying like, people didn't go home because they didn't have money. But then, I interacted also with some people, and they told me, you know, we can't go home back in the villages because, you know, it's corona, and so we may take corona to our parents and all that. So that has been, you know, the new norm today. And that told me that most of the people are understanding. Well, it told me, one, that economy is bad, man. People are feeling it in their pockets because this corona came and most of the people lost their jobs, or some of the companies scaled down the workers. And so most of the people back in the villages and, you know, here in town lost jobs. Others, you know, if they were paid, then they were paid maybe a half salary or quarter. So I think it has eaten so much into our pockets, and most of the people are crying outside here.
Okay, Banlamek, do you know, today morning, the number of people at Machakos bus station and at Tirum and at, which other place did I see? It was crowded. It was flooded. That would be a better word. It was flooded. So I'm like, for Kenyans going home, it's a culture.
It's a culture.
So like Kenyans have to go home.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of the virus. Yeah, even with the directives.
Yeah.
You know, like no one can be forced. You can't be forced to stay home.
That's true.
Yeah, there's no lockdown right now. You're free to move. And so for Kenyans, then culture, kwenda shags, is given. Yeah. And so what do you think about that? Are Kenyans keen to follow rules, or, you know, they're unmoved because they do what they always do?
Well, I believe in any given civilization, it's difficult to just have everyone think the same way. All right. So, well, and that is why law enforcement comes in, because we will be told don't attend those political rallies. We will all be listening to the news, but tomorrow, an ordinary Kenyan will be thinking, the big man over there will be dishing out some cash. So let me go. All right. So even during this whole time of the festivities and the traveling, as I said earlier, it is a time to just focus on what is important, because sometimes we lose out even on the very spirit of Christmas by too many paraphernalia that we actually just add onto that, the traveling, because we almost get addicted to a phase of life that is slowly just getting to change, right? So, because some of these people, I was doing a certain story at country bus, and I saw people traveling even with sofa sets. I was thinking,
yeah, like with shopping, you're like, where you're going, there are no supermarkets.
Yes, yes. Yeah. But I think it's just a high time that unless it's totally important that we travel, we can avoid for now.
Yeah.
Well, but as compared to the previous Christmases that we've had, I want to believe that this one, most of the people didn't go to the villages. Yes, there was a number of the people going there, but I just want to believe as compared to others.
Yeah, some have had to they're postponing until next year when things will be a little light, hopefully.
Yeah.
And now as we conclude, what do we think would be the right content to put out there during this time? I know what runs on most bulletins in different media houses is how the president celebrates Christmas, then how this cabinet secretary celebrated Christmas. But do we think that is content that our audience, that Kenyans need right now?
If you ask me, not exactly, because as I said, Kenyans are not looking for just some extra dose of information. And they're not just looking for mere entertainment. Entertainment is good. I'm not against entertainment because it makes us laugh, and even scripture itself says that laughter is medicine, right? But now, I think we need to peddle more stories of hope. Hope in the sense that, can I be able to enjoy with what I have?
Yeah.
So if we could even be able to give them suggestions with, you know, your little income, with whatever you find yourself with to this Christmas. If you're not able to travel, what are the options that remain?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, really just getting to lead people to the very true meaning of Christmas. Because if it has always been about traveling, or rather if you actually travel to meet family, can you just start with the ones that are close to us? Can we have maybe play board games with them that night? Stay just together, reflect what the year has been for you. Maybe just go out and enjoy a good time. No, not out like outside, just outside your house and just enjoy watching the stars. Just some very good moments that, let's be after a satisfaction. Yes.
Redefine what's fun again. And
I
for you,
think
Lamek?
Message of hope. You know, entertainment and good songs for them, but at the same time, let them not forget about the street kids. You know, we were doing a story the other day, and you remember, and the street kids were saying, like, you see, you guys have forgotten us, and you think we are the ones spreading corona. Are you seeing there is another society that feels like, you know, these other people are thinking like we are spreading this corona. So as much as we be confined in our homes, we have also a responsibility, social responsibility, to go out and help the people who may be in need. That's what we can do right now. And of course, in our media houses, then we can play music or messages that can give hope to the people. And most of the people are back in the houses, and most of the people are depressed, and they need hope. They need to know that next year we are going to have a good life. By the way, I was interacting with my friend, and he told me this, that nowadays he doesn't plan for tomorrow, because he has learned that you can plan for tomorrow and then something happens. So I think we need to give hope to the Kenyans and the rest of the people around the world.
And thank you so much for being on the panel.
Thank you.
Captain Cargo and Lamek Kaungo, our very own journalist here at Look Up TV. And just like that, we've come to the end of the Week in Focus. I am Nancy Nerima. Thank you so much for watching.
We value your feedback and welcome your about our programming and operations. Feel free